Boston Cannons GM Kevin Barney here. There's a lot to get to on today's show, but first and foremost, Kevin, I know you have some breaking news to share with us.
Yes, I am here today to announce that we have signed 2 more players to contract extensions. Goalie Tyler Fiorito has signed a 2-year deal with us through the 2018 season, along with defenseman Mitch Belisle has also signed a 2-year deal with us today to remain with the Cannons both through the 2018 season. The
Cannons really getting a jump start ahead of everyone else in front of this, so a good start looking ahead to what's coming in next season. But let's talk about these 2 guys, starting with Tyler. Of course, he was in his first year. You guys had some drama a little bit before last season. You lose Adam Gittleman, then you see Jordan Burke retire right after the draft. So you guys get Tyler Fiorito, and he was just so good in his first season. How nice is it to know you're going to be bringing this guy back for 2 more years?
Yeah, Tyler was awesome for us. He's the guy that we went after when we found out that Jordan was going to retire, and we had our conversations with Chesapeake and made sure that we got him. And he made so many great saves for us this year. He not only makes the easy saves or the saves you want your goalie to make, but every game he was making one of those saves where Coach and I would look at each other and go, "That's why we got him." And he was just so consistent for us all season. And we're just excited to have him back, and we're talking with him to get him on for a couple of years to make sure that he was going to be with us for the next 2 seasons.
I love Tyler. I think he's a great goalie, and for my money, last season he was the goalie of the year. And there's a couple of things that I love about his game. Obviously, you talk about the spectacular saves that he makes, but it's the durability. I mean, you look at 840 total minutes available in a season. Over the last 2 years, he's 5 minutes short of 840 in those 2 seasons. I mean, you can't underestimate the amount of durability that goes into him as a player.
And people don't realize it. I mean, there's some games that saw Tyler in the locker room hobbling around. Some shots he's taken off the foot, the knee, the hip, everywhere. And but he just continues to bounce right back and wants to be in net the next game. And that's in this league. It's just so important to have that guy who can be there every week.
A great family as well too. Met both his dad and his mom. Great people. Let's talk about Mitch. He's been with this team for a very long time. What makes him such a great leader for this franchise?
Yeah, Mitch is that guy that just embodies everything that we want out of someone on the Boston Cannons. Everything he does, the way he plays on the field, the way he respects the game, his teammates, the way he interacts with our fans. He's just that guy that just does everything. He's been our captain. He's one of the emotional leaders on this team, in the locker room, on the field, and is a guy who's worn that uniform more than anyone else. And talking with Mitch this week, he said he didn't want to play anywhere else but Boston. And both these guys, I made sure to tell them, like, hey, they've earned this right. They're veterans in this league. If they want to explore their options, please do. And all I told them was I want to be the first and last person they talk to before they make a decision. But if they knew that they wanted to be here, I wanted to get something done now, and and let's move on and make the announcement and do it. And both of them were 100% on board for wanting to be here in Boston.
Well, that's great. And of course, Mitch is the all-time leader in games played for the Cannons, also the team leader in nicknames, Mr. Fantastic, Mr. Luxurious, among others. But when you've got a guy like Mitch, who's been in the league and been with the team so long, I mean, how important is a guy like that for young guys like James Fahey, who are coming in through the open tryout?
Yeah, we had a great mix of veterans and younger guys on the team this year with someone like Fahey, Pellegrino, Brandon Mullins, who did a fantastic job as a rookie. No one talks about how hard. They always talk about the offensive guys, but some of those defensive guys coming in from college and then stepping on to this field and with one practice and saying go cover one of the best players in the world. And this is the system we're doing. They look to the veterans and for that leadership on and off the field. What they're doing on the field, how to do it, but then how does this work? How do you be a professional lacrosse player? And we have some great veterans like Mitch who easily show that way.
So Tyler Fiorito and Mitch Belisle, number 2 and number 3 of the players that you signed, the first being Max Sebald, and we actually heard from him on his excitement to come back and play for Boston.
I had an awesome experience with the Cannons, not only this year, last year as well. And the group of guys we have in the locker room, I think, is unique. The coaching staff, I think, we have is unique, as well as the management and ownership. I've had some experiences elsewhere, and knowing what I have now, I'm really not willing to give that up. So, like I said, Boston's the place for me right now.
And it's clear that he's a guy that wants to stick around. Coach Quirk also, someone that you locked up for next season as well. Why are these two guys so important to the Cannons moving forward?
Yeah, I thought Max was the guy that I wanted to make sure we signed first. Again, being that veteran leader, one of our co-captains. I talked with the entire team during training camp about what was going to happen at the end of the season with the player movement, and told them that I wanted Boston to be a destination for guys, not a place where they wanted to leave, where they guys wanted to be here, wanted to come here. And then at the end of the season, reminded all the guys about that again, and then reached out to Max and said, hey, I want you here. I want you to be a Cannon for as long as you want to play. No one's signed, no one's announced, that they're returning. Not only do I wanted to make that a statement for our own guys, but for the league that, here's our captain who's eligible for the player movement and deciding before anyone else to announce that, nope, he's staying put. He wants to be in Boston. Max has just been tremendous since, day one he got here. And, not easy situation. It was one that he got thrown into a whirlwind, and but we couldn't be happier to have him here. He's done so much for us on and off the field. Some of the goals and that he scored for us, and then all the little things that Max doesn't get the recognition for, what he does between the lines, his defensive play. I remember last year during a game when he went to coach and said, "If you need me to play D-midi the rest of the game, that's it. I'm in. What do you need?" And it's always the guy that Max has been for us, and couldn't be happier to have him back in Boston for next season.
Let's talk a little bit about Coach as well. Coach Quirk comes from the D3 landscape up into being a professional lacrosse coach. In his first season, you guys missed the playoffs, but you do finish with 8 wins, which is really remarkable for a first-year coach. What really impressed you about him and his coaching style? Yeah,
there's probably 2 things from day one when I hired Coach. He jumped in right away, and his communication, which is so important in this league because of the fact that we're just together on the weekends. The guys don't live, in the same city, things like that. So he is constantly talking with the guys and communicating with the guys, not only who are playing, but the guys who aren't playing, letting them know where they stand, what's going on, down to, to the practice squad guys, and letting them know what we're expecting out of them this weekend. But just that communication that he brought to it, it's not an easy transition. It's not coaching is coaching. MLL is a different animal, with the way, going from college where you're together 24/7 and practicing every day. He brought on some great assistant coaches. He put a great system in place, kind of took over from where the direction we were going last year. And, I thought he did a tremendous job. And, I think he'd be the first to admit that he had a little bit of a learning curve, throughout even just the first couple games, and realizing how it all works, and even the in-game and how fast it is, and the decisions you got to make. But he did a tremendous job all year. And, we had our own ups and downs with it, but, we won 4 of our last 5 games and finished tied for first and out of the playoffs. So, that alone is a good story right there, but, happy for the job that he did. And he's also been tremendous for us off the field. Coach has been at more meetings, youth lacrosse meetings and events, and he's volunteered and gone out and, coached youth groups and done clinics and everything, trying to grow the Cannons brand here and grow this sport here in the greater Boston area. And to us, that's, just as important as what we're doing on the field.
Well, and you touched a little bit on the player movement policy, reminding the team and everything going on. But what are your thoughts on the policy going into play this year?
Yeah, I think it's a great step for the league. We always talk about what this league needs to do to grow, be more legitimate, recognized, and it's those little things that people, I still get asked, oh, there's do you recruit players, or is there a draft? And when you talk about the draft, people understand what a draft is. People understand what free agency is, even though this isn't exactly that, but it just gives something more to talk about as well. So it's going to be an interesting step for all the GMs as we now have to look 2 years down the road at our salaries and the salary cap and what guys are doing. And probably in a good way, pay more attention to what they're doing off the field for their jobs, their careers, and their families and what they're doing. But, for us, it's about, treating all of our players as professionals and creating that environment that they want to play in and be here.
Yeah, well, over 90 players up for this player movement policy.